all red. Red state people are more likely to murder you, to impregnate your teenage daughter, to commit a violent crime against you, to commit a nonviolent crime against you, to watch Desperate Housewives on TV, to buy pornography, to buy, degenerate video games like Grand Theft Auto.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to it. Conservative Confucius back at it again. RFK seems to not be who we think he might be. I mean, I've kind of had a thing that I've noticed about this guy since the very beginning. He seems very insincere in a lot of things and then overly sincere. It's kind of an odd mix. And there's always been something just slightly off about him, something that just doesn't sit right with me. And I knew it was either a lack of genuine character or a hidden agenda. And it seems it might be both. Alrighty, guys, let's get into it. Don't forget to go down there, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for all notifications. Thank you guys for watching. Let's get down to it.
Now, some dirty stuff's coming out. They're saying you were against voter ID. RFK Jr., you said voter ID was racist. Is that true?
Look at his face.
I didn't.
Look at his face.
I had a lot of positions. I went through an evolution like many people in this country. And, I said things years ago. I had positions years ago that I look back on and say there was nothing good about that. I think what I've said on the voter ID issue is that I'm going to issue voter passports, passport IDs to every American who can't afford them. That will end that issue.
Okay, because you have to have voter ID.
That's funny because every single voter ID state every state that requires an ID to vote gives you a free ID. Every single one. So you can't say that voter ID is racist because, they can't afford it or they can't get to it. Well, all of those states give you free IDs. And the majority of those states have either free bus passes for people who are economically challenged or on Section 8 or other types of living situations. For example, Arizona, I think they require an ID to vote. I'm not 100% sure. I always give my ID to vote. So, so I give my ID to vote. But when I was younger, I struggled a lot. I didn't have enough money to buy bus passes. I didn't have enough money to, really do anything. I was in and out of halfway houses and homeless, and it was pretty crazy. So I got the discounted bus pass. So instead of I think it's like $25 for a month or whatever it is, or $20 for a month, it was like $6. And you get a month-long bus pass that lasts you the entire, from beginning to end. And that's how they do it. I mean, the same things goes on in all other states. In most states, if you're Section 8, you can get a free bus pass. Or if you show your food stamp card, you can get a free bus pass. And for example, in Arizona, that's what they do now. If you show your food stamp card, you can get a free bus pass. I don't know if it's a free month-long one. I know you can get dailies, but I am not sure. I've had a car for so long now, since basically when I stopped living in halfway houses, I got a car right away. I just bought like a crappy Elantra. Yeah, I mean, this is all just a deeply rooted lie that no one ever can prove because they say, it's racist. It's like, okay, how is it racist? Okay, well, black people can't get this because they can't do this because they can't do that. Okay, well, that's just the bigotry of low expectations. Oh, well, they don't have as many DMVs in their areas. Wrong. There are more DMVs in their areas. There are more DMVs in urban areas than there are in suburban and rural areas. So that's a lie again. Okay, well, they can't afford it. Oh, well, they can get it for free. Oh, well, they don't really want that law. They think it's, malicious against them. No, they don't, because overwhelmingly black and brown people vote overwhelmingly towards voter ID more than white people even. So every single thing that you're told is a complete lie from what it actually is the reality. And Fox actually did a thing on this a while back. I think it was with Avi, what's his name? Avi on the Street. He does like some short, kind of bald, scruffy, like 5 o'clock shadow, small Jewish dude who goes onto the street and did interviews. He's done it for multiple news companies, but he used to do Avi on the Street interviews. And he did one for that. And it completely just debunked everything you are told about, the so-called racism of voter ID. It's bullshit. You know, this man, RFK, has been a far left, like a rampant far left activist for basically his entire political career. And I didn't know this until just recently. The more and more I saw of him, the more research I did on this dude. And he's openly said things that are extremely disturbing, which we'll get into.
To have a clean election. You got to have that.
And by the way, Jesse, or Al Sharpton and Andrew Young and other civil rights leaders have said that if I issue that ID, they will stop their objection to demanding voter ID at the voting booth.
All right.
Al Sharpton is a freaking, like, a con artist, a grifter. He's scum. All right, here he justifies jailing people who do not want to believe or follow in climate change, or business owners who do not want to do climate-friendly policies. This is really, honestly, quite disturbing.
Do I think they should be in jail? I think they should be enjoying 3 hots and a cot at The Hague with all the other war criminals who are there.
What about politicians, people who express skepticism?
I think they're selling out the public trust. And, you know, I think those guys who are doing the Koch brothers bidding and who are against all the evidence of the rational mind are saying that global warming doesn't exist, that they are contemptible human beings, and that, you know, I wish that there were a law you could punish them under. I don't think there's a law that you can punish those politicians under, but I think the Koch brothers should be prosecuted for reckless endangerment? Absolutely.
Just so you know, this man has now he has come out and outwardly said that he believes that anybody that goes against, you know, what is good for the climate and business-wise should face what he said was the business death sentence or something, the death sentence for business, and basically just saying that their business should be completely bankrupt and ruined and tarnished. And that was just recently when asked about this exact interview from years ago. And so he hasn't changed his opinion much. And when constantly asked, no, what do you have to say about just regular people? He never actually clarified. He would just go, oh, no, it's for the businesses. But what about the people? You said people too, not just businesses. And he just refused to answer that part of the question because he obviously still believes it. He's just this far left activist who really has no real opinion other than what he believes is probably best on the market for him. Like what will give me the best chance of succeeding? And it's truly sad that this man continues to do this. And instead of just being an honest, upstanding citizen who wants to fight back for his country and give us a better chance at something, he continues to push these far left activist ideas and ideologies that destroy this country. He's openly just shown massive bias towards on many issues. I mean, climate change. Recently, he just did an interview with Patrick Bet-Davis, where he showed complete lack of knowledge on the trans issue, and at the same time saying the most ridiculous things. Like, it's like, how can you say this? Like, you hate vaccines, yet you're willing to pump kids full with chemicals that are not meant for those actual those actual things. We're giving kids hormone blockers and puberty blockers that were meant for prostate cancer. Like, are you kidding me? We're giving it to kids who don't even have prostates. Like,
Now, if you can work your way up to the mic, I'll come to you right afterwards. Meanwhile, I'm going to continue with this next question here. According to China, Xinhua News, at least 900 young adults are taking part in military training, with some as young as 7 years old. In China, we're training boys at 7 years old. In America, we're transitioning boys at 7 years old.
Yeah.
According to a new poll conducted by Pew Research Center in June, only 9% of young Americans ages 17 to 24 say they are very or somewhat likely to serve in the military in the next 4 years. This is the lowest percentage we've had expressed in the military service since 1979 when Pew Research started this. So here's what it makes me think about. Number one, 16 years old I need to be to get a driver's license, 18 years old to get a tattoo, 18 years old to vote, 21 years old to drink, 25 years old in many states to get a, rent a car. But California and some of the directions some places are going, hey, your daughter, your son can run away. This is a sanctuary state, and you can come and do a procedure here without the consent of your parents. What will you do as a president to get this nonsense out, to prevent kids under the age of 18 with or without the consent of the father to transition. You
Exactly.
may even say that is an okay policy you're a part of that many families disagree with. One, what's your position on this, and what will you do as a president?
I mean, my position is that people should not be able to have access to those procedures, that minors shouldn't, without parental permission.
Okay. So what about the parents who've been indoctrinated by the ideology and want to give these procedures to their kids, even if they're not trans, even if they've only said that they are because of the indoctrination of their parents, or they just say they are because they've been in a friend group that has this ideology and this idea permeating through it, instead of just saying, you know what, this kid might just be going through a phase. I mean, even recently, a study from, I think it was Sweden or Denmark, showed that 89% of kids who identify as trans or non-binary or some type of gender, changing identity, 89% of them grow out of it. 89%. And 80% grow up to be gay. We're just castrating healthy gay people and a small amount of healthy straight people because they have a phase that they go through, instead of just letting them go through that phase like I did when I was younger. I thought for a long time, like I had suffered extreme physical and sexual abuse as a younger person and as a teenager. And this led me to be extremely confused sexually. I thought I was gay. I thought I was bi. I thought just because I had an inkling of attraction, not sexual attraction, by the way, just like a guy says to another guy, I'm like, oh, you look nice today. I thought that meant I was gay because I had so many gay people around me indoctrinating me into thinking that's what that meant. Instead of that's exactly what's happening to these kids. They're being told that because they feel a certain way, that means they're trans. Instead of just going to a therapist, talking it out, and really working through these things. They are told by their friends and they self-identify, self-diagnose these things. For example, like I was saying, I thought because I thought a man who stayed fit, looked nice, was an attractive guy, that meant I was gay. Even I was like, what? But I don't find them sexually attractive. I don't think downstairs is attractive. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to do anything with it. And they continually told me, the gay community, this is in Arizona, by the way, I was a teenager here, told me that I just needed to find the right guy. So what did I do? I was raving at this time, and I would use tons of ecstasy, get messed up, and put myself into dangerous situations where I would get abused. I mean, it's insane. And I didn't even realize until I was older, the very little feeling I did have for certain things at certain times was called drug-induced homosexuality. It's actually a real thing. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like an excuse for people to give when they made stupid behavior or stupid decisions while on drugs. I had no idea it was a real thing. But when you really think about it, it makes sense. You're taking ecstasy, a drug that completely makes you lose all inhibitions and makes you become extremely horny. Of course, you're going to do things you don't, and especially when people are trying to force you into those things. They're pushing you to do this, and they're trying to get you to do these things. Of course, if they're grooming you into a situation, that's going to happen. And that's what's happening to these kids. They are getting groomed into these situations. They're being told, hey, if you identify like this, or you feel like this, or you don't like your body because it makes you feel like this, then you are trans. And then they shower them with love. But the second they say, I'm not actually that, I don't think I am, they become the outcasts and are treated worse than they were before all that happened. And the same thing, I mean, I can say the same thing. The second I was like, hey, I stood up to them, I'm like, I'm not gay. Like, I'm not bi. I'm not any of that. I was confused. They treated me like shit. Like, oh, you just were faking it for attention, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I wasn't faking anything, bro. I was extremely confused, traumatized, and horribly, in a bad position and mentally. And I was going through shit. And instead of saying, okay, I'm sorry for that, they just treated me like shit. And that's what these kids are going through. They are terrified that if they stop identifying like that or tell their friends that they really aren't trans, then they automatically become this horrible outcast who is the enemy to their very ideology and movement. It's a toxic, toxic place to be.
I don't know enough about it, Patrick, to say that it should be completely illegal for
Under
all
18?
No. Yeah, I just don't know enough. What I'm going to tell you, well, because I don't know.
But Robert,
It doesn't matter if your parents are allowing you to do so. A kid cannot do that, period.
I mean,
I don't. You know what? I don't know enough. I need to look at data before I make a decision. My inclination is that it's not good for anybody. There may be some rare cases where it saves somebody's life. I don't know that. And I'm not going to tell you that I have an answer to a question
there's a
that I have
difference.
not.
But Robert, there's a big
Let me
difference.
just tell you this.
I just want to say this. There's a big difference between those two things. One, saving somebody's life to transition and cut the dangling off. How are you saving that person's life?
Exactly.
Some of these things, logically, they make no sense to parents. So
Yep.
parents are sitting there. 'Cause you're going to have to answer this for both parents on both sides.
There's conflicting values here, and one of the values is freedom to do what you want with your own body and have.
See, that's the problem, though. You don't have the freedom to just do whatever you want. That's not the way that America is about freedom, but it's also about safety and security and about protection of our, of basically our safeties. Like, you can't go and harm someone because you feel like it, because you think you have the freedom to do so. You can't cut off your limb because you have the freedom to do so. You'll be put in a psychiatric hospital and not charged, but you will be held accountable for your actions. Just like if you want to cut your dick off and you were just saying, not because you identified that way, but just because you felt like it, you would be put in a mental hospital and you would be treated like an insane person. But yet, if you want to chop your dick off because you identify as the opposite sex, you're automatically part of a special, protected category that is now just practicing their freedoms. It's bullshit.
The government tell you you can or you can't do that.
Who is protecting kids under the age of 18, though?
The government tells us what you can and can't do all the time, and a lot of it is unjust, but a lot of it is very just. There's a reason why we have these policies in place.
And that's the other, right? And that's why I say nobody can do it without their parents' permission. That's solid.
No, it's not.
I have to look at the drugs, the safety of the drugs, whether there's permanent damage from the.
There's permanent damage. That's an already known fact. The Nordic countries have already proven it to us. And even England, a far more woke country that's more far gone in many ways than us, has already stopped doing those treatments and surgeries because they have realized how damaging they are. This is bullshit. He is far uneducated, and he is just trying, or he already knows, and he's placating the voters who he thinks will vote for him because he says this. It's unbelievable. So this is just something that he made. I'm not kidding. This is a comic that Robert Kennedy made. He made this comic with Greg Palast, and this is Robert Kennedy Jr. These are the two authors and artists. I'm guessing Greg Palast is the artist. And it's called Steal Back Your Vote. Hold it. Who said you could vote? Voto Latino changed to win Rainbow Push Coalition. So the Rainbow Coalition. It's not gay. It's an older coalition. But nowadays, they're not the nicest of people and have a lot of racist things attached to them. They used to be a good organization. This is unbelievable. I mean, as a country, as a people, this cannot be stood for. When a guy is lying to the entire country about who he is, how he feels about Americans, and his opinions on, he says, oh, you should have the freedom to do this. Oh, but you can't say you don't believe in climate change or we'll put you in prison. Oh, you should have the freedom to cut your dick off. Oh, but you can't ask for voter ID and ask for safer elections because that's racist. No, this guy is full of crap. He's a grifter, and he's been this way for his entire life. And it shocks me that it took me this long to see this. I used to be a huge fan of him. He was one of my favorites besides Trump. I literally thought for a little tiny bit of time I might vote for him. And this is insane. I'm like, nope, no way, bro. He's just an ideologue that doesn't base his opinions in the real world. The things that he says are just basically pulled from his ideological playbook and he sticks to that no matter what. He won't say anything that goes out of his ideological playbook. and he just regurgitates these lines over and over again. It's unbelievable. Alrighty, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I appreciate you guys coming down and listening to me. Don't forget to go down there, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and come back for some more. Don't forget to go back and check out some of the old ones. Alrighty, guys, appreciate you guys coming down. You guys have a good one. See you next time.